All right, Kathryn Burns, congratulations on receiving your very first Emmy nomination for choreography on Crazy ExGirlfriend.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So tell us, when you got the news that you'd been nominated, how did it feel? Were you expecting it at all, or?
I was not expecting it. Firstly, because it's really rare for an episodic to get recognized for choreography. It's typically like a dance competition reality show's game, you know? And not only do I work on an episodic, but it's also a comedy. So, you know, the jokes come first, the actors are singing while dancing, so there's a lot of close-ups and story-driven movement versus just, you know, creating the most impactful moving dance possible. So with that being said, I 100% was not expecting it, and I was floored, but I was literally laid out because I just had surgery the night before.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, so I'm fine, everything's fine, it was minor. But you know, I was like under and stuff, so it was my first surgery as well. So I was laying on my couch, my sweet mom was in town. I'd fallen asleep on the couch, woke up on the couch to my mother going, ah! Ah! And I was like, ah! She just was frozen, and I was like, Mom, use your words, use your words. She goes, you got nominated for an Emmy! And she might have, you know, her language might have been a little more foul than that, but she was beside herself. And all I could do was finger wag because I was in so much pain and it hurt to laugh and it hurt to like talk or move. So I was like, oh my God, that's great. And then of course I looked at my phone and had like, you know, it was cute. The Crazy Ex writers called me from the room and stuff, and they had all watched it together. But yeah, so I was laid up on the couch doing the finger wag, and that was the extent of my celebration. So when my folks come back in town, we'll celebrate more.
Well, congratulations again. As you said, it's unique for a show like this to get nominated in that category. But then again, this is a very unique show because it is a musical comedy. So tell us a little bit about how you got involved with it.
Sure. Well, Rachel Bloom and I did Upright Citizens Brigade together, you know, UCB. And she came from New York, and I had a company called Quick and Funny Musicals that's still running, and we do short, satirical, crazy, silly musicals. And we've been doing it every month for like 6 years or so. So she joined our company, and I got to know her during that. And then we also did this also great comedians called the Apple Sisters. We had done their show together, which all like there was this group of comedians that loved musical theater, and we kind of found each other at UCB and would do anything and everything that we could get our hands on. She also had written, you know, as she does, she writes and is so diligent and has a musical written of her own already. And I had choreographed the stage, well, the UCB reading of that, or the production of that, and then was in it as well. But so I knew Rachel from that, and originally it was a different choreographer for the pilot, who's great, and then they brought on a different DP when it went from Showtime to the CW. And because the Showtime pilot was the original that Mark Webb directed. Right. So anywhoozles, so fast forward a year later, they hired the DP from Key and Peele, Charles Papper, and he had talked a lot about our work together. Oh, look at my mug. I have a Key and Peele mug. I mean, I don't know if if you know the sketch, this isn't an inappropriate mug to hold.
I was going to say, when I was looking at your credits earlier today, I saw you had worked on Key and Peele. I bet she did that number there at the end.
Negro Town, you can say it. It's the name of
Negro Town. Yeah, it's a very funny number, by the way.
We're not allowed in Negro Town. It's, oh man, it's sadly still very poignant and such a amazing, heartfelt, and funny sketch, which is hard to do, but they tackle those issues well. I mean, exceedingly well. But anyway, so Charles had DP'd all of Key and Peele, and my friend Peter Atencio directed all of them. And so Charles was talking a lot about me in this meeting he had to DP, and obviously Rachel knew me, but with Aline and Sarah, you know, they kind of had to meet me. And it was fun though, because when I went in for my interview, she was like, oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you did that. So although we've been collaborators at UCB together, she didn't really know, she didn't have my credits in her Rolodex, you know, which rightfully so. So that's kind of how that happened.
So this is not a show where every couple episodes or so there'll just be some kind of a big number to choreograph. There's at least 1 or 2 numbers every episode that you have to do.
Yeah.
And a wide variety of dance styles as well. So talk about getting a script week to week and planning a number, figuring out what it needs and what kind of style it needs. Just talk a bit about your process.
Sure. So luckily I'm like a proper department head on this show. With a lot of other TV stuff, choreographers come in and out, kind of like later in the game, to be honest. But I'm a part of all the meetings. There's a bunch of meetings. There's like a concept meeting and a tone meeting and a dance concept meeting, and then there's more meetings. So sometimes the music video treatments come after the script. They'll be like the song in the script, and then we'll have another meeting where Rachel will actually really dive in a lot, and she's very specific about how she sees the song, because she's also one of the songwriters as well. And spent her career before Crazy ExGirlfriend making her own music videos. You know, her YouTube Fuck Me Ray Bradbury sensations, for example. That I helped her with on Die When I'm Young, which was like a Kesha Britney Spears parody. But then the girl actually gets cancers and dies young. And she was like, no, I meant metaphorically. It's really funny. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, so it depends. The scripts can be in different stages. And they'll talk about, luckily it's a very specific genre, right? So like the Josh boy band of four Joshes, it's like, it's Josh dancing with himself, but in a 90s boy band kind of way. And so for me, I find, and what I learned from, you know, UCB and stuff is like the truth in comedy applies for dance as well. So like I'll versus like, I won't choreograph something that's silly or dumb. Like I try to really live in that 90s boy band genre and find what's appropriate. And also, so after the meetings, after I know what it is, after I get the music, and sometimes I might have like input super sporadically on music, and maybe there could be a breath here, things like that. And sometimes I'll be able to sit down with the directors and storyboard. Like this one director coming up, Stuart, he and I kind of sat down as he was creating the storyboards and the vision for the music video, which is really helpful. But sometimes I come in after the fact, and it's more steps driven. So then I get to I have my assistant Dominique Kelly assisted me on the 3 that I'm nominated for, and then sometimes I have different assistants. But so then we'll get in the studio and play and have a choreographer rehearsal day. And I find that like Vincent Rodriguez III and Santino have this tap dance coming up. Spoiler alert! Oh shoot, is that spoiler alert? Anyway,
it's not too spoilerish.
And maybe Donna Lynn has a tap. I don't know. Everyone has a tap dance. Everyone's tapping. Everyone's tapping. Okay, there's tapping. There's a dance. There's a tap. It's the same thing. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, we know that there's going to be more musical numbers next season.
Yes, there will be more. No spoiler alert. There will be more musical numbers. Yeah. But so Vincent. I'm so like in my head reeling. I'm like, oops. It's all good. It's live.
Yeah, you're fine. No worries.
It's live. It's good. So we had this code when doing like the boy band that whenever it made us laugh or it was like, oh, that's gross. Yeah, that's it. That's how we're going to do it. And then for me, it's, you know, making sure the lyrics are always readable and, you know, there's no crazy head spins during that part. And then finding some ways to heighten the choreography with humor that isn't distracting. There's always like a fine line, you know, like like the choreography has to serve the story first and live in the genre correctly, and then it'll be funny because it's correct. And then I find like nuances of like when he does his like he would die thing, it's like a noose, but it kind of looks like a dance move. So, you know. And then sometimes, you know, and then everybody's invited in for like a little show and tell, which I call it, which is just like a less stressful way to say, I'm going to get notes. So let's just call it a show and tell. Everyone comes in for show and tell, and we do the dance. And then sometimes there's notes right away. And sometimes we're like, great. And then sometimes there's notes on the day. Sometimes we ditch sections of choreography for more acting moments. But yeah, so did that kind of describe it?
Yeah, no, that was exactly what I wanted.
Cool. And a lot of it is me just walking around and in my head, or, you know, showering and dancing. And once I think of it, once a number enters my brain, it doesn't stop until it's shot. But it kind of manifests in it. And then there's a casting process too, which I you know, really work hard on to get the right people in and that kind of stuff.
Right, absolutely. I think one of the things you brought up, which is so, as a musical theater fan myself, I appreciate about the show, is that you're telling the story through these numbers. They're not just wedged in there arbitrarily. they really are telling an aspect of the story through the song and dance. So let's talk a bit about the 3 numbers that you're nominated for. I'm So Good at Yoga. You brought up a boy band made out of Josh's, and then Settle for Me.
Yeah.
A boy band made up of 4 Joshes. Yeah. So number 1, why did you submit those for Emmy consideration? And number 2, if you could just talk, you talked a bit about boy band made up of 4 Joshes. If you could talk a bit about the other 2.
Sure. It was hard because there's a lot of other favorites, like the Heavy Boobs one is really fun. And I really love that choreography. And then there's the one, Put Yourself First, Girl, Worry About Yourself, which is like a girl group number.
Right.
Which is super fun. And then there's Josh's Angry Dance, which is kind of amazing, which is super flash dance. And he did all of his own stunts. There was no stunt double. It was kind of shot like in silhouette and stuff. But and actually I had I was trying to decide. I mean, I'm So Good at Yoga was the only one this season, I believe, that I had 10 dancers. And that was the one I actually auditioned for last season. So, and also like, that was kind of a no-brainer because in the lyric, it says they do things with their body that no human should be able to do. And so like, I thought about having a contortionist and some weird gags with like the leg and the hoo-ha and, you know, like, so obviously that one lends itself to be impressive per the lyric. And then Boy Band of 4 Joshes was really cool because like, I really liked not just as a choreography, but the nuances of how each boy band has like a stereotypical type. Like there's the heartthrob, there's the goofy one, there's the angry one who's like the more of the rebel, and then there's just the normal one. It's just like a little, you know, understated. So I actually had 4 dancers do that with him and kind of embody the small, subtle nuances. And since Vinny was a swing on, you know, musical theater shows, he was able to learn choreography and then subtly change it. Like even the way how much he did his head, like the tough guy wouldn't body roll as much as like the young one. And there's always that super young one too, you know? So, and then that was all green screen to make sure he was in the right spot. So that one was super dance driven. And then Settle for Me, of course, is like a classic Fred and Ginger tap dance. And how could you not? Like that one was, like being able, and then also being able to make it funny. And I love that she says things that like we feel as dancers, like, oh, my dress is so spinny. Like, the first thing you do when you put on that dress is she turned. She just like started twirling like as Rachel in the dress. So, and I actually had run it, her husband was doing a show. He has an improv group called JV, and they were doing an improv show at UCB, and I had run into her there, and I was like, hey, I've got it. So her and I actually kind of talked about it. Like, it was perfect. I was like, perfect timing. I got to submit, and I can't decide between this and this. And yeah, so that's kind of how I decided.
Well, it does show off the wide range of styles that you're able to employ in this show. So I think that's a good thing. So tell us a little bit about what attracted you to being a choreographer and telling stories through dance.
Sure. I mean, I honestly think like the second I was born, I was moving. I'm the youngest of 4, and my sister, who's the oldest, so she's 10 years older, she was always dancing. And at that time when I was born, you know, she was already well into her like dance training and stuff. And so I always would make her like teach me dances. And then when she was on the drill team, I was like the mini drill team. I was the mascot you know, I took it very seriously at like 6 years old. I was very serious about it and started taking dance class when I was 5. But honestly, there was something specific about the magic that happened in the frame that I really loved. And my dad took me to go see, we rented Shirley Temple's, you know, all those. And I was like, he could tell that I was totally mesmerized by them. And so every day for like a week or 2, we rented a new musical. And there was something just about like the joy and the magic that would happen with those big musical numbers that I just would start studying and wanted to create it. And I always wanted to choreograph for TV and film, but kind of came about it my own path. But yeah, I think I just was mesmerized by the classic movie musicals that I watched as a kid.
Well, it comes through in the show quite a bit.
Oh, good. Wait, that I'm a kid, that I watched things as a kid. Let's just say that I love movie musicals. Let's just say that. Literally, my assistant the other day goes, Dominique, he goes, whenever you say things, I see you as a 5-year-old kid. And I was like, he's like, sometimes I see you as a 5-year-old kid through a note I give or something. I'm like, are you saying I'm kid-like? I'm just a 5'10" giant kid. I'll take it. I guess. I mean, so thank you. I don't know.
Talking, any other juicy insights you'd like to give us into the production? Any numbers that you're not nominated for that you'd like to, stories?
Oh, well, I mean, this isn't Crazy X related, but I like love Wet Hot American Summer. When I moved to LA, it was my favorite movie of all time. And I had this soundtrack, or this one song that didn't have a soundtrack at the time, called Higher and Higher. And I played it when I moved across country 13 years ago. And then they did the remake, Wet Hot American Summer, First Day at Camp. And I had worked with David Wayne and the Children's Hospital guys and John Stern and all them for Children's Hospital and some other things here and there. And so at the end of the first day of camp, the counselors put on a musical, but it's obviously set in the 80s. So I was born in the 80s. So like that was something I did this year that I love, that you can also watch on Netflix now. But but then I got to sing in the actual soundtrack of Higher and Higher.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah, but David Wayne loves musicals too. Fun fact. Yeah.
I did a Q&A with him and Craig Wedren, the composer.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, over at UCB. Did that this past season.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I couldn't go because we were shooting, but I was supposed to be there. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so Craig is the one that wrote Higher and Higher, and so he brought me in on it to sing on that was a dream. And I love that it was the counselors on this full-out musical. Alma just does this like amazing one-handed John Travolta-ish lift that he totally nailed in the first take, which I taught it to him on stage with everyone watching and smoke, and he was like, got it. And I'm like, what? And then it spins in, and that was awesome. But I'm trying to think of I really love Negro Town for Key and Peele. That was, like, I already talked about it, but I did that aerobics 80s meltdown one. So like this year, a bunch of childhood fantasies are kind of coming true. Because I used to have play dates with my friends where we would just do my mom's Jane Fonda workout tapes. Like we would put on leotards and like as 6-year-olds play and like do Jane Fonda workout tapes. I think I raided my sister's drill team closet too for those. But I think Josh's Angry Dance is kind of my favorite too. Oh, it's so good.
It's great to see that there's still a place for musical theater, or movie musicals, I should say, at least on television, or sporadic feature film. Well, again, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you as well. Have a great day.
You too.